Thanks for joining us today on Talk of the Town. I'm your host, Janet Cresson. Got a teenager in the house? Well, if you're looking for real business world experience with life-changing results for your teenager, you'll want to meet our next guest. With me, I have Steve Benchwell. He's the director of Business World right here in Madison. Hi, Steve, and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you.
Thanks for coming back
Thanks for having me.
Visiting. I was feeling a little clever because I noticed that it's CW meets BW.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yep, you bet. Yep.
I know I get excited about the little things. So let's bring some viewers up to speed. If they don't know what Business World is, give them an idea of who you are and what you do.
Yeah, we've been on a bunch, so hopefully the viewers have seen us, but for those that aren't familiar, Business World's for high school kids, and we offer our programs in two different ways. During the summer, we have an overnight summer camp where the high school kids get to come onto a college campus, live in the dorms, say goodbye to mom and dad for the week, and they're on their own, getting a college experience. And that's kind of our flagship program. We're really proud of that. And recently, we've been supplementing that summer camp with programs during the school year. And we hold those all around Wisconsin, and they're called Mini Business World. And with it being the school year right now, that's kind of where we're at with the program. So we're traveling all around the state, holding mini business worlds, and really excited today that we'll talk a little bit about our Dane County Mini Business World that's coming up at the end of the month.
Okay, great. We'll talk about that in a minute.
Yeah.
What else is new then? So you've got your summer things, you've got the minis, what else?
So we're doing all sorts of things where we're working with the high school kids in the summer and in the school year during Mini Business World. And what's really been fun is a lot of our business sponsors have been asking me to come into their corporate setting and give them a little crash course on how today's kids see the world. How do they learn? How do they work together? What do they really want from an employer? So that those bosses and employers can kind of match up what they're offering their employees and kind of make human resources people happy all around.
Wow, that's really interesting. I like that. So you mentioned the Mini Business Worlds, and you've got one coming to Dane County.
Yep.
Tell me a little more about that.
Yeah, so our Dane County Mini Business World will be at the end of the month here in January, and we expect about 250 kids to attend from all the surrounding high schools, so it's going to be a really exciting day. And that day is going to be hosted by American Family Insurance. So they're going to bring us in, they're going to play host for the day, and the kids are going to have an awesome experience where they get a hands-on day working with business concepts, but also getting to see a real business in action. It's a beautiful headquarter facility, and it really makes it an authentic business experience for those kids.
I could see that, being in an office setting versus everyone meeting in an auditorium or a cafeteria or something like that really does help make it feel a little more authentic. Love that. So what happens in these Mini Business World sessions? These are one-day events,
Yep,
right?
it's a one-day event. It's just the length of a school day, and it's going to be really neat for the kids. They're going to come in, and right off the bat, they're going to get mixed up and put into new teams with kids that they've never met before. So part of the experience is making new friends, networking, putting yourself out there and being comfortable with that. A lot of kids...
Do we need to do that in the real world?
I think so, and especially today's kids are so digital and kind of sometimes so buried in their phones that those people skills sometimes they struggle with.
Yeah.
So we can really push them to get out of their comfort zone and put themselves out there, and they learn all sorts of stuff about business and marketing and getting ready for what comes next in their lives.
What are some of the lessons that they learn?
Sure, so kind of what you would expect from a business conference. It's Business 101, so we talk about slogans and marketing campaigns and branding and basic financial terms and things like that. But a lot of the more important takeaways really don't have anything to do with business. It's more of confidence in your own skills, identifying what you're good at and what you might want to do. Because no matter what occupation you go into, you're going to need the same basic set of people skills. How do we work together? Am I reliable? Am I accountable? So we can kind of put them in a situation where they need to perform and they need to deliver. Kind of gives them a taste of what those expectations of the working world are going to be like once they get there.
Sure, it probably helps them start thinking a little bit ahead to what they might like to do
so.
with those skills too.
We hope so, yeah.
We hope so. All right, well, we have their interests now. How can viewers find out more if they want to get there?
Yeah, so hopefully people at home watching might be parents, they might be teenagers, and maybe it's a business sponsor potentially, and we'd love for them to get involved. The more people we get involved, the better. So if you're watching at home and you know you got kids or you got kids next door or your nieces or nephews, make sure they know about the program. If you're a parent or a business person and you want to get involved, the more support we get, the more authentic of an experience it becomes. And it's not as just cutting us a check, it goes way beyond that. Let us come see your facility for a tour. come talk to our kids and kind of tell them what you were like when you were 16. The more support of that type we get, the more of a better experience the kids have.
Alrighty, it all sounds good. This is Steve Benchwell. He's with Business World. Thanks, Steve. We'll be right back with more Talk of the Town. Welcome back to Talk of the Town. Did you love to read when you were a kid? I know I did. Still do today. If you've got little ones at home that you would like to help encourage to become readers and help them get ready for academic success, you'll want to meet our next guests. With me, I have Katrina and Holly from the South Central Library System. Thanks for coming in today.
Thanks for having us.
So we've heard the term early literacy. Tell our viewers what that is, what that means.
Sure. So early literacy is the things that kids learn about reading and books and writing that will help them become ready to read in the future. So the most important one is reading, obviously. Reading to a kid and exposing kids to books is the biggest thing you can do to help your kids become ready to read. But also singing with kids, talking to kids, playing with kids is huge, and even coloring and scribbling are all things that will help kids with early learning.
Interesting. What are some things that parents can do on their own to help kids get to be readers?
Yeah, so I'm going to echo Holly and just say read out loud with your kids as much as you can. Try for 15 minutes a day, but every little bit counts. I would say number 2, bring them to the library and let them choose their own books. That's kind of a bonus. Because kids who choose their own books tend to read more because they don't think of reading as a chore. And then number 3, I would just say try to kind of build an environment of reading at home. So lead by example, read books. If your children see you reading and you have books at home, they're that much more likely to pick up a book and read themselves.
Sure, I can think of so many great reasons why they learn how to learn, and there's speech involved, there's concentration, so many great things.
Exactly.
What kind of things are the libraries doing to help kids get along in reading?
Sure. So the biggest thing libraries do is offer resources, materials. So books that you can check out, music, play spaces in the library where kids and families can play and engage together, and then library programs. So story times, music programs, movement programs, play programs, and take-home reading programs like the 1,000 Books Before Kindergarten program.
Oh, you're taking me back. Story time. Love that. Okay, you just mentioned something, the 1,000 book program?
1,000 Books Before Kindergarten.
1,000 books before kindergarten?
Yeah, it sounds scary, but it's really not.
I got to get busy.
Yeah.
I'm a little behind.
Yeah.
What is that?
It's a free ongoing reading program that many of the South Central libraries offer, and it's basically just to encourage parents and caregivers to read 1,000 books with their kids before they go to kindergarten. It's a fun, there's incentives along the way, and just create that reading environment at home. And like I said, not every library offers it, so if it's something that viewers are interested in, I would encourage them to ask at their local library.
Okay, so if they're interested, they go to their library and ask about the program and get started that way.
Yeah, it's very easy to sign up.
1,000 sounds like a lot. Why 1,000?
Good question. So 1,000 is not a magic number, and it's a really big number. So I like to break it down just by saying to read one book every day. Pretty simple, takes about 15 minutes, and even that small amount, research shows, can make a huge difference. So just read one book a day, and even if you miss a few days, you can actually read 1,000 books in under 3 years.
Wow. It's good to have a goal.
Yeah.
And so you also mentioned the story time, the 1,000 books. Tick off some of these benefits that kids will get. You said it doesn't take much.
Right. So children and their grown-ups can get so much out of library programs, especially Storytime. Storytime is huge for school readiness because it creates just an environment that kids can come in and interact with other children and other adults. They practice their turn-taking skills, their listening skills, and just kind of figure out their place in a group setting. And those are all things they're going to need to do when they go off to school. And again, as Holly mentioned, story times are all about those 5 early literacy practices: talk, sing, read, write, play. So I just encourage everyone to go to their library and take advantage of the free programs.
And there's so much more at the library these days. It's not your grandma's library anymore. They've just changed. I've enjoyed meeting with you folks over the year and learning so much about what's going on in the library these days. Well, thank you for coming in. Really enjoyed chatting with you. This is Holly and Katrina. They're with the library, South Central Library System in their youth services. Go check out your library. Get the checkout. We'll be right back with more Talk of the Town right after this. Welcome back to Talk of the Town. We turn our discussion next to the important and interesting topic of anaplastology. This is the branch of medicine that works with dealing with restoring a missing or malformed part of our body through the use of prosthetics. And with me, I have Gregory Guion. He's with Medical Art Prosthetics. Thanks for coming in today, Greg.
You bet, Janet.
And Greg
Thanks.
is an anaplastologist.
That's right.
That is quite a word.
Yeah.
So today we're talking about nasal prosthetics.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and you've brought some samples along.
Right.
Let's take a look at them. What are they
Okay.
made of?
Most prostheses, I'd say about 95% of the nasal prosthetics that I make are silicone.
Okay.
Silicone rubber. So it's a soft, flexible material. And so this is just an example so people get a quick feel for what this actually is. It's not a surgical replacement. It's actually a prosthesis that goes on each day and is taken off and cleaned.
Okay, and how is it attaching there?
In this particular case, I've put a magnet in here just to make the model stay in place. But there's basically like 3 main methods of attaching a prosthesis, and I've got some photographs.
Great.
We'll bring these up and kind of, I'll move rather quickly through these but they do illustrate the basic methods. So maybe the most common method is still adhesive, where someone would just apply an adhesive to the back of their prosthesis and then put it in place.
So now it's in place.
Now
here.
it's in place,
Okay.
and you can get an idea of what that would look like.
And that's something that you would put on and off every day with that adhesive.
Exactly, and then they'd clean the adhesive off and reapply it each day. Another method is some of our patients have osseointegrated implants placed into the bone inside the nasal aperture, and this allows them to attach their prosthesis magnetically without having to rely on adhesive.
Isn't that amazing?
The back of the prosthesis shows the 4 magnets that correspond to the implants.
Okay.
It's a really beautiful way if you're going to wear a prosthesis for your life, it's a wonderful way to be able to do it.
Very quick and easy.
Exactly. Lifestyle is much easier.
And there's the finished
Result there.
Okay.
The final basic method is, which I really enjoy doing, doesn't require any surgery and it doesn't require adhesive. What we call an intermediate or a retentive piece is designed to fit into the cavity with a magnet in it, so that after, actually you can see the 2 components here, the retentive piece and then the prosthesis itself, and those will click together.
Sure.
So that once the person puts their prosthesis on, they have a nice retentive prosthesis and they don't need adhesive.
Boy, a picture's worth a million words here.
Yeah, they are, and this is just actually another example of the same kind of an approach, slightly different design of the 2 pieces. But again, you get the same kind of result.
Really amazing. What are some of the reasons that folks might need one of these?
The main reason, I'd say in my practice, probably is close to 75–90% of the practice is cancer. People have had some sort of a basal cell or squamous cell carcinoma, and they've had their tissue removed, part or all of their nose. Another reason would be car accidents, any kind of a motor vehicle accident or trauma, gunshots, dog bites. There's a lot of different things that can happen, or even substance abuse.
Sure. I'm actually familiar with someone that does have the cancer situation. So thank goodness you're here doing this. This is life-changing for folks. Do you ever encounter someone that has their original, I guess, God-given nose, but maybe they're hoping to improve the appearance, maybe due to an injury, like a dog bite or something?
Yeah, exactly. There are folks that have been in accidents, have had plastic surgery, things didn't turn out as well as they'd like, and they're trying to cope with the way their nose looks. They have their nose, but there's something about it that they want to cover or improve. And a prosthesis can address some of those things. but then again, they're wearing a prosthesis each day. So in a
Sure.
case like this, I don't know if you can still see this or not.
Sure, just in our last few seconds here, let's take a quick look.
Yeah, and it's just an overlay prosthesis. So it's really not
The full thing.
a full prosthesis, but it allows the person to see what their nose would look like if they wanted to wear a prosthesis each day.
I see.
And then very quickly, I've developed a kind of an application material that can smooth and conceal some scars,
Okay.
things like that.
And again, a daily application kind of a
Uh-huh.
thing. Okay. All right. We are out of time, Greg. This is
Yeah.
really interesting, fascinating, and important work. Thank you for sharing that with us
Thank you.
today. We'll be right back with more Talk of the Town right after this. Welcome back to Talk of the Town. Well, it is a new year, and that means changes, and that might mean changes in a new health insurance plan and our prescription insurance as well. Here to help us sort through some facts and make sense of the jargon is Eric Hewitt. He's the owner and pharmacist over at Medicine Shop Pharmacy in Monona. Thanks for coming in today, Eric.
Thanks again for having me back.
Alrighty. So what are some of the biggest changes that are occurring in the prescription insurance right now?
Sure. A lot of times after the first of the year, a lot of things start over. Sometimes people get completely brand new plans. A lot of plans out there will just simply start over for the new year. The things that usually start over is a deductible. Deductibles happen to be the amount of money that the patient pays out of pocket when they come in. A lot of times that could be anywhere from a couple $100 to $1,000, something like that. So what that means is when you come in to pay for your prescriptions, rather than having the co-pays or no co-pays that you may have had at the end of the year, those deductibles or spend downs can start over and renew for the new year.
Spend downs, what does that mean?
Yep. So a spend down is very similar to a deductible. There's one particular plan out there called Wisconsin Senior Care for some seniors, and it's income based. So spend downs typically is just an amount of money, again, that you pay out of pocket that you spend down until you get your co-pays back or potentially a deductible started.
Okay, and that starts over with the new year?
It can, yep. If an insurance company has their year that goes, on a calendar year, then that would. Senior care, it can be any month depending on the individual patient. But yes, to start the year for the sake of what we're talking about today, a lot of times that does start over at the first of the year.
All right, so you're behind that counter helping folks learn where they fall in this new year, I suppose.
Unfortunately, yes, we get to be the one to be, sometimes the bearer of bad news for the price of their medications.
Right. What types of insurances are affected by this?
Well, a couple of the big ones, there are commercial insurances. So, your insurance, my insurance may start over after the first of the year. But the big thing for a lot of seniors out there is Medicare Part D. So that's the prescription drug portion of Medicare. Those all go on a calendar year basis, so those start over at the first of the year. Also, anybody on Obamacare, those are first of the year plans, so that's when their plan year runs.
All right. And what can you advise patients? What can they do to help in this transition?
The best thing you can do is if you have questions, you can call your insurance company, and that does require some looking ahead planning. They have that information. They can tell you, and I know they send you packets of information that's not a very fun read,
Yeah.
and quite lengthy, but those kinds of things are explained out. So, if you don't want a surprise the first time you come in to see me at the first of the year, those kinds of things are explained, and you can always call the insurance company to get more questions asked.
But you're right, plan ahead for being on hold for maybe a little while.
Absolutely.
Otherwise,
Yeah.
it sounds like you're pretty well versed in a lot of the plans out there.
Pharmacy has turned into something like that, and it's not something necessarily that as pharmacists we went to school for, but it's something that we deal with on a daily basis. And a lot of times it's hard to get that information. The doctors don't know. Sometimes insurance agents don't really deal with the health insurance portion. So pharmacists by default sometimes get to be the ones that, are the people that you're talking to and saying, why is my copay so high, or, things like that. So we get, kind of well versed in it, absolutely.
Wow. So if you don't mind me asking, what about flex spending accounts or some of the HSAs, health savings accounts?
Yeah, those can start over too. Again, it depends on the commercial insurance's plan year. Sometimes those have a different fiscal year depending on maybe the company that you work for, their fiscal year. But a lot of times those are calendar years. So those oftentimes are replenished and renewed at the first of the year as well. So that is something that can start over as well.
Alrighty. If folks have additional questions, obviously they can contact their insurance company.
Yep.
Where else can they go?
I always, again, I'm going to put in my plug for independent pharmacy because that's something that I really believe in. That's what we do at the Medicine Shop. And so we oftentimes, like we had mentioned before, are a resource for people. And we do deal with this on a daily basis in a variety of plans. So I always recommend having that dialogue with your pharmacist. Even though I can't affect when that deductible starts over, how much money it's going to cost you, at least I can go through it and explain it where you are comfortable with it and understand what's going on for the upcoming year.
Good to know. Thank you for doing that.
Yeah, sure.
This is Eric Hewitt. He's from the Medicine Shop Pharmacy in Monona. And that's it for our program today. Thanks, Eric. Thanks to all of our guests. And from all of us at CW, Happy New Year. We look forward to you joining us throughout 2016.